Bonjour, on est Tribe Called Red, on est ici à Paléo, puis tu regardes le Festi Live. Merci beaucoup. It's different. It's definitely a different experience playing for a European crowd than it is playing for a Canadian crowd or a North American crowd. It's also different when you're playing for indigenous people and then when you're playing for not indigenous people. So it depends on where we're playing and what's going on. But the response has been great, no matter like who we're playing for. People seem to really feel it and really understand what we're trying to do, which is really exciting.
Yeah. You know, I don't think there's a huge culture shock for us because although we're different countries, like we live in a country where European people settled, so we know something about European culture. But I think the huge culture shock comes from when we play for people. I think the culture shock is us giving people a shock with our culture and being able to show us how we do. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, it's the most important thing for us really is to be out here and representing ourselves in a way that we see ourselves. You know, the representations that you've probably seen of indigenous people from North America before have been not true representations. They've been stereotypes, and us through somebody else's eyes. So now you're getting to see how we as indigenous people see ourselves in 2014.
And how do you do it on the stage?
Well, we use our culture and our music in a few different ways. You know, we sample traditional powwow music with dubstep and moombahton and trap. But we also have a traditional dancer. Well, he's part traditional. He does what's called hoop dancing, but he's also a b-boy. You know, and then we're also using imagery from pop culture of indigenous people. So these kind of stereotypes that I was talking about, we use them on screen, on stage with us as a way to confront people with those stereotypes and say, this isn't who we are. This is who we are.
We call it a cultural continuance, right? So like music has always been a really big part of our cultures. And very important, and same with hunting, right? So hunting is a very important thing with our culture, and then technology showed up. So now we hunt with guns, but it's still hunting, and it's still a traditional thing. So making music is still a traditional thing. We're just using better technology. Like we have technology like computers and CDJs and those sort of things. So it's just a cultural continuance more than it is like an art thing. Like we're just carrying on our culture through technology. Bear and I, we worked in the same club together in Ottawa. We were both DJing. I was DJing upstairs and he was DJing downstairs. So we got to know each other pretty quickly. And there was an idea where we wanted to throw a party for Indigenous people in Ottawa and like the young youth, like people in schools and that sort of thing. And we threw one and it ended up being like a huge turnout, sellout of the club that we were working out of. And we didn't recognize anybody. And it was all these people, even like, you know, me growing up in the community, I thought I knew most of the people, but I didn't know any of these people. And there were people coming from like rural and very secluded areas up North Canada and coming to Ottawa for school and growing up in their communities and only seeing other people like them, and then coming to a city being a little bit culture shocked and not really having a place to go and hang out. So we created this space. We were told right away that we weren't allowed to, we had to keep these parties going, and we weren't allowed to stop what we were doing. And eventually from that, we started mashing up powwow music with club music just to give back to the people that were there. And then we started producing our own music. And then here we are. Now we're in Switzerland touring this music around.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a scary thing to do, especially because in the way that things have worked in our culture, you know, surviving through, you know, 500 years of genocide, attempted genocide, and having everything taken away from us. You know, everything from our culture, our language, their way of life had all been taken away. So our people within our culture become very protective of the things that we still have. So the idea of taking something like powwow music and remixing it and starting to play it to non-Indigenous crowds and all of that stuff that we've kind of started doing was really risky in a sense. We're definitely pushing people's boundaries and pushing people's comfortability level with what we were doing on both sides. But it's something that we've tried to do as respectfully as possible and as carefully as possible. And you know, you want to push boundaries, but you don't want to break them. So, you know, just doing everything in the best way that we can to continue an idea and a vision that we felt was very important. A mission? Yeah, we're definitely seem to be on on some kind of trajectory with things. A mission, it's definitely a huge part of what we do. But I think our mission, first and foremost, is to have a dance party, to make people dance, is to, you know, to enjoy ourselves. It's just we found ourselves very quickly in a political position because we're Indigenous, because we made a party for Indigenous people. So the politics kind of just flowed with that. More touring. We don't go home from here. We go back to Canada, but we continue touring. We do a West Coast tour of Canada, and then an East Coast tour of the U.S. and West Coast tour of the U.S. And we tour until September, mid-September, and then after that we go into intensive work on our new album. We've already been working on our new album a bit, just kind of on the road. But when we finally get off the road in September, it's just all into the new album.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And enjoy your show.
Yeah.
You can jump in anytime you want, bro.
Okay, good job.
How's it going?